The views and opinions expressed on Chris Black the Podcast are not those of the station, platform, or any of its affiliates. Should they be? Probably. But who knows? That's what makes America great anyway. Thanks a lot and enjoy the show.
Hello, party people. It's Chris Black, and I'm your host. Chris Black, the podcast, is coming to you live from wherever you are, and hey, there we go. So, exciting week. I come with the goods as always. I've got a few awesome stories for you this week. First, I'm going to share with you how I became the mayor of a small town, and boy, do I have some interesting townspeople. We're going to dive into the wonderful world of homeowners associations, which is always awesome. And then we're going to wrap it up with a field trip I've got on tap for a week from today, and kind of let you behind the scenes of a few things that I've been working on. So all that more coming to you live from the beautiful state of Sweet Home, Alabama, and I'm looking forward to all the show has to offer today. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get to getting, get the show started. Thank you guys for joining me once again. Welcome back, everybody, to Chris Black, the podcast. I'm your host, Chris Black, and before we go any further, I'd like to remind you to visit my page at podpage.com/Chris Black. That's page.com/Chris Black. Common spelling, to find out everything about the show, up to and including past shows and the archive, and to connect with me on social media. So, it has come to my attention that I'm the mayor of a small town and didn't even realize it. Let me explain. So, I have this elderly dog. His name is Jasper. I think I mentioned him in the first podcast, however many ago. And he's old. He's got a little spot on his leg. He's not saying he's got cancer, but, it ain't looking good for him. His time on this earth, he has fewer days ahead than he has behind. That's all I'm going to say. So, he's developed this nasty habit of, he'll have an accident in his crate at night, and then, of course, he'll wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning to let me know, and it varies, 3:25 one day, 4 o'clock the next. This morning, it was only 4:25. So, we've been dealing with this, or I've been dealing with this for the last, couple of weeks. The caveat to this, of course, is Mr. Buddy is awake, and as soon as my feet hit the floor to go take care of Jasper, Mr. Buddy's under my feet. It is what it is. So, this morning, we, he's crying, wanting to go out. Of course, he's left me a surprise in his cage. Thanks for that. And on his way out, the cat slips by. And the cat's not really supposed to be outside because Lord Byron has sensitive skin, to say the least. When we got this cat, he had fleas at one point when he was a kitten. And, of course, we did the common thing that I've done with every cat I've ever owned. You put a flea collar on him and call it good, right? No. It broke out his neck so bad, and it took him forever to, kind of recover from that. So we decided that we were probably never, ever going to put a flea collar or treat him for that ever again, because everything we tried, the drops and all that, again, very sensitive skin. So we try to keep him in the house. And, of course, I spray the yard for fleas, for what good that is. And, I do my very best to try to keep all that down. So the cat gets out. And then, of course, Mr. Buddy's not having that. He goes and retrieves the cat. And by retrieves, I mean he plops on top of him until I can go pick the cat up. Well, this morning I didn't have to do that. He just went back inside. Mr. Buddy let him up. He went back in the house. So everybody's kind of learning. But a couple mornings ago, one of the 3:25 morning, as a matter of fact, I get the dog out. I clean his crate at 3:25 in the morning. I'm tired. I put him, bring him back inside, put him back in his crate. Mr. Buddy's in the house, and Mr. Buddy and the cat, Lord Byron, share a dish, a water dish of sorts. Now, wasn't that way originally. Lord Byron had this really cool water filtration system. You drink out of it, whatever. But when we got Mr. Buddy, and Mr. Buddy got one of those automatic water things where you fill up like a gallon jug and it dispenses, the cat decided that was where he wanted to be. So he uses that with Mr. Buddy now. So when the water dish is empty, they'll generally let me know. And it's kind of funny. So here's how I discovered I'm the mayor of a small town. and the pets are my townspeople. So after I get the dog situated, I come in, I'm getting a drink of water, and I grab a couple of chips. You know, I'm hungry. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Who cares, right? It's a little quick snack before I go back to bed. The cat is meowing at me and standing by the water dish. And I said, okay. So pets are like townspeople in the sense they'll tell you there's a problem, but not necessarily what the problem is, but they expect you to figure it out. And I understand that my pets don't speak English, and Lord Byron's gotten really good at giving me clues over the years. But when they have a problem, and trust me, they have plenty of problems, they're always kind enough to let me know. But again, they don't speak English, so they can't really tell me what the problem is. So he's standing by the water dish, and he's meowing. I said, okay, well, I'm gonna finish my chips, and then I'll get him water. Whatever. The man, he gets louder and protest a little more, and I'm like, really? Come on, man. When have I never gotten you water? Well, he's thirsty now. All right, well, that's fair. Whatever. So I lean down and get that squared away, and while I'm doing that, he goes to his cat bowl, which I filled up before I went to bed a few hours prior, I might add, and he's now protesting at his bowl that his bowl is not empty but close enough. So I give him food. Now the townspeople are happy. So Jasper, the town elder, is now back in his crate, almost asleep, I might add, after I've cleaned his crate. The cat now has water and a fresh bowl of food. And I take my lovely assistant, Mr. Buddy, and it's time for us to lay down and go back to sleep. And of course we do. So how I got roped into this world, I'll never really understand, but my pets expect that I take care of them, of course, which is fine. But they also, give me, unconditional love and all that other fun stuff. So when I come home, they're so happy to see me, and, they bark and meow, and they show their appreciation for the little things that I do, Of course, I feed my kids, and my kids couldn't care less, I feed my family, and they're like, yeah, so you're supposed to do that. The animals are like, oh, thank you for this wonderful, delicious meal that I've had the same thing for the last, 186 days without fail. That's another thing. How they eat the same food day in and day out, I will never understand. But I feel like they're good with it, and they don't know any better. So I guess if I had, turkey burgers every day, and that's all I ever had, I wouldn't know to get sick and tired of it. I would just be glad that I got sustenance, that I'm eating. There's something with that. But no, my pets, they don't care. They're just like, all right, Daddy, what you got? Oh, wonderful. Same food. I'm so happy. And Mr. Buddy, he's real happy when I come home, and I think he has separation anxiety. I don't know what his history was before I got him, but this dog is like, when he hears somebody home, he's just so grateful that somebody came back. Like, where the hell are we going? I mean, we're not going to leave you. Of course, he doesn't know that. And he's just so over the top with it. And I'm working on it, trying to get him to do a little bit better, but he's having a hard time. I mean, we've had him over, in November will be a year. So in his mind, I guess he still wondered. And like I said, I don't know what his history is. I have no way of knowing like where Mr. Buddy comes from. I just know that my wife met some lady in the Dollar General parking lot and, picked him up, and I've loved him ever since. He is like one of my babies, and, he is, he's that dog that you see people that do things like put their pets in sweaters. You're like, that, God, stupid. Or, they take their pets to the vet on a regular basis. Like, oh, my Lord, that's a yard dog, man. What's up? Now, I do all those things now. Not because I want to. Well, yeah, I do want to. I mean, I take care of them. And, now Jasper, on the other hand, is, Jasper's 14 years old. That's hard to believe. And he went to the vet for his initial stuff, and he just never went back. He has started slowing down in the last 6 months. He's got this thing on his leg that, he doesn't want you bothering it. It's not bothering him, so we don't really mess with it. But it could be like a, fatty cyst, whatever thing, or, it could be cancer. It depends on which, doggy WebMD you read, but it doesn't seem to be bothering him, and it's not slowing him down. He is kind of, like I said, aging, and, really any treatment they give him for whatever he's got, it's not, I mean, the cure is worse than the ailment, especially with recovery and things like that. So I love these dogs and this cat. They were all handpicked except Jasper. He was dropped off at a tow shop that I worked at, and I picked him to go home. So yeah, all my pets are handpicked, and he's been with me the longest. Like, he's my OG, man. Like, he's been around through the highs, the lows, the ups, the downs. When I go through things in my life, Jasper's always been there. So, boy, losing him will be difficult. But like I said, he's been a good dog. He's been a good servant, and I love him to death, man. So yes, I'm the mayor of a small town. Unfortunately, I didn't get elected. I just wound up in a position of power, and of course, I don't abuse my power. I give them whatever they want, because that's what we do. So, coming up in the next segment, I got a letter from the HOA, and all that goes with it. It's it's an interesting story, to say the least, and I have some opinions, not because I got busted, but just human interaction things. So don't go anywhere and stay tuned.
Welcome to a quick little game we like to play called 80s and 80 Seconds. This is where I ask a question about the 80s and see if my 14-year-old son knows the answer. You know how to play?
Yeah.
Alright, let's get started. What is a collect call?
A payphone call that you have to... I'm not sure. I think I kind of know what it is.
Okay, what is a long distance call?
It's a call that's long distance that you have to pay extra on your phone bill for.
What is dial-up referring to?
Internet.
Okay. What does star 69 mean?
I couldn't tell you that one. I actually don't know.
Alright, what about TGIF?
Thank God it's Friday.
Okay. What was Napster?
I don't know.
What about the DARE program? What's that?
It's like when police come to your school and teach you about like how to protect yourself during an active shooter situation or like whatnot. I don't know exactly.
Who is Zach Morris?
I don't know.
What is a burn CD?
If you want to put something on a CD, you have to use a CD burner to put what you want on it.
What is a fax machine?
I don't know.
What about a Walkman?
It's a radio, or not a radio, but it's a CD player, like a portable CD player.
And bam, that's the 80s and 80 seconds. Stay tuned for the next segment.
Welcome back. It is, let's call it 13 minutes past the top of the hour. And don't forget to swing by podpage.com/Chris Black to learn all things about the show. Connect with me online and even see past shows and figure out where to connect with us. So, at the end of last segment, I promised you a juicy tale of the Homeowners Association. So, I live in a rural neighborhood. We are... not to our own devices, we have a ruling class called the Homeowners Association. I don't generally have a problem with the HOA, and in this situation, I don't really have a problem with the HOA. What I have a problem with is my neighbor, and I don't know which one it is because they're anonymous. So, got a letter in the mail. Someone took the liberty. Not only did they take photographs and write a scathing letter, they went through the trouble of detailing certain facts that were inaccurate. For example, I've had, limbs and sticks in my flower beds for over a year. No sunshine. That stupid tree drops limbs like crazy. Maybe one day I'll be out of limbs, but I can't keep the limbs, picked up, fast enough. It's kind of amazing. And then of course, there was some, I have a stack of limbs. It's kind of like a perpetual stack. I'll cut limbs down because certain entities complained about it. We'll leave it at that. And to clear it up and keep the branches out of the roadway and things of that nature. And then I pile them up and I take them off. And I pile them up and I take them off. And I don't always finish my pile before I start a new one. So it's kind of been that perpetual pile of ridiculousness. So the last I don't know, week or so, the weather hasn't really been too inviting to get rid of these sticks and limbs and whatever. So I haven't. And we also did some home improvement projects around here to, get rid of some rotten wood, fascia board, things like that. And had to replace a door. I got a video actually of that. I think I'll post it on YouTube soon. But essentially, the long and the short of it was, I got crap to do. Now, if you've been listening for any length of time, you understand that, my new thing, in 2.0 land, that's what I call this, whatever you call it since my heart attack, has been yard work. And I take a lot of pride in the work that I do. Now, this is, I cut the grass at least once a week, trim the shrubs, rake out from, underneath the shrubbery and, clean all that crap up and, power wash, pressure wash, whatever. I mean, it's a whole gamut of things that I've been working on all summer. Now, it's mid-September is when I'm recording this podcast. So I discovered my love for the outdoors in, April. And so I've been outside every weekend ever since. And usually if it's not here, it's somewhere else. But anyway, so my bottom line has and always will be, I do what I need to do to, kind of enjoy that part of it and have fun. And again, I put a lot of pride in it. Now, to be fair, my yard's about an acre, a little shy of an acre, but I take care of, the backyard's kind of a small quarter, it's not really a whole lot. And the dogs love to play back there. And, so I don't really, I don't give it a whole lot. I mean, I cut the grass back there. I keep the weeds down and, spray for the fleas and all that. But I mean, that's really all there is to do back there. So a lot of my focus is on the front of the house, but I have this area. It's kind of like, we call it the side yard. We live on a corner. So if you're staring at my house, anything behind that front's on the side, there's a driveway and there's a little section in the back. Well, that's the little section in the back is what we're talking about. So in this scathing letter, I have limbs and piles of debris and fascia board just stacked as tall as the eye can see, and a rotten door that's been there for months, which is not true. It's been a couple weeks. And, on and on and on. So it frustrates me to know that people are out there willing to write letters and take photographs instead of coming and knocking on my door. Or, leave me a note in the mailbox. Hey, just want to see what's going on with you. Notice you got a large pile of debris, stacking up. I don't really know your circumstances, but do you need some help? And I'd be like, I apologize. This is what I got going on. I'm recovering from a heart attack. I don't work as fast as I used to, but, hey, I'm trying to take pride in what I do, and we're having a good time here. And, I apologize. Let me, do what I can to help you out. And I'll work on getting this done a little bit, faster for you if it's that much of a problem. So I would like to take this platform that I have been blessed with, and they'll never hear it, I'm sure. But with, my army of listeners out there, I'm sure we might be able to put it out there somewhere. I want to apologize personally from the bottom of my heart to the neighbor that I offended with my yard debris and my home improvement projects. I want to apologize for wasting your time and making you go out of your way to snap pictures and pen a well-crafted letter, I might add. I mean, applause. The letter was phenomenal. Yes, we saw a copy of the letter you submitted. And they were kind enough to block out most of your contact information. But I want to apologize for making you take the time out of your day to do that. Because I know it was difficult to drive by my house and snap pictures when nobody was here of my home. And I know it was really, there was a lot of work that went into putting that together and making it happen. And I really, from the bottom of my heart, I want to apologize for cluttering your life with, what I've got going on. Yes, I've got things on and off my carport. We're cycling things through. And, we were moving some things in and out with my son going off to college. And, my kids were switching rooms and so forth. And, hey, I did have to store some things on the carport. I apologize for that. I also want to apologize for my stack of yard debris. Like I said, it's been a perpetual stack. We clean it up, tear it down, clean it up. I mean, it's been perpetual, and I apologize. I really wish I could have, had the ability to hire somebody to get it done in a day or so. I just didn't have that kind of time or money. And I worked every day this summer that I was out in the yard. I literally worked till I could work no more. And I really want to apologize that I wasn't able to power through the pain that I had in my muscles and joints, and the heavy breathing and so forth. Sometimes, if you're a former heart attack, if you've ever had a heart attack, you understand that you don't function like you used to. So I learned a lot about myself through this process, and like I said, I really want to apologize that my projects offended somebody else, or at the very least was enough of an eyesore to prompt them to write a letter. And again, to whoever you are, Mr. Letter Writer, Picture Taker, I want to apologize from the bottom of my heart, because honestly, I never meant to hurt you. I really didn't. And I never meant to make you take time out of your day to deal with my problems, because my problems are mine and mine alone. And I harbor all of those issues, I promise you. And again, I don't work as fast as I used to. So, that's on me. The fact that I didn't ensure that my yard's tip top at all times, again, that's on me. I just hope that you don't take that malice out on others in our community, because I do walk the neighborhood. I see a lot of yards that are in disarray on a consistent basis, and those people probably have things going on in their lives also. And here's the funny part: I don't judge those people, because I live life like everyone else. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Those things in your life that you believe to be important may not be as important as you believe they are. Because I'll tell you a secret about this letter. These things that were contained in this letter were on my list of things to do and things that I've been working on. And I was going to do them this weekend anyway. Well, guess what? I'm going to do them this weekend anyway. It really makes no bearing. I feel bad that I put the burden on someone else to point out my flaws in my yard. And my yard was that bad that it, prompted someone to bust out the camera and write a letter. Again, I never want to be a burden on anyone, but this just absolutely, I couldn't believe that I had done something so irresponsible as to make a neighbor feel they couldn't come knock on my door and ask what's up. If you have a problem with me, that's fine. I don't care. I would like to know about the problem so that we can resolve it together. But when you hide in the shroud of, mystery letters in the HOA, I have zero respect for you. I really don't. And I mean, again, I have a hard time believing that in today's world that you didn't feel that you could come knock on my door and talk to me. I'm a very personable guy. I'm easy to get along with. So since I don't know, excuse me, who did it, I have an idea. But I'm going to make sure that I apologize to all of my neighbors and make sure that whoever it is that I offended, excuse me, and whoever I took the time out of their day, I want to make sure that I'm giving them their time back. So I'm going to go on a crusade to make it right to this mystery neighbor. Again, I have an idea. I've narrowed it down to about 40 houses. Because it has to be somebody who drives by my driveway and that side of my yard on a consistent basis. Otherwise, how would they know? So, again, I want to publicly apologize to the HOA for having to deal with this matter. Because, again, my negligence caused this problem. I want to also apologize again to the neighbor that I wasted your time having to write the letter and take the photographs. I know I've said it repeatedly, but I truly mean it from the bottom of my heart. And I hope that those of you listening to this podcast can maybe guide this to the correct person so that they can hear that how sorry I truly am. But the reality is this. I know my limitations. I know what I can get away with. And hey, I'll try to do better. Going forward, I'll make sure that I try to do a little bit better. That's all we can do. With all the things that are going on in the world, I apologize that my yard stopped you from doing the things that you needed to do. So, my apologies to the neighbor that wrote the letter and took the photos. I really do apologize to you and the rest of my neighborhood for being an eyesore. I apologize. So, Next segment, we're going to get crack-a-lacking on what's going on in the world of college football, high school sports, and thereon. Stay tuned for more.
Do you like working on your own car? Do you have a history of needing to make multiple trips to the store to get something you forgot? Are you looking for an excuse just to leave the house? Then come to the Parts House. Our team will look up your parts on the computer and even watch YouTube videos just to tell you how somebody else did it. They only work here to get away from their family too. Want to get it right the first time? No can do, brother. At the Parts House, we want it to cost more than twice the price and take 3 times as long as a regular mechanic. Turn our project into a weekend project. Is your marriage going great? It'll be in shambles by Sunday, so make sure you visit the Parts House today, where the money you save may very well be your own.
It is 23 minutes past the top of the hour. Welcome back to Chris Black, the podcast. I'm your host, Chris Black. And guess what? It's my podcast where we talk about anything and everything and no topics off limits, except the F word. Well, some days. Anyway, so I'm recording this on Friday, September the 16th. It'll get posted at some point. Some people listen to them immediately. Some people don't, and that's fine. I don't always publish them after I do them. To complete those episodes, and I don't really know why. I'm trying to get better, but I'm still learning how this podcast thing works. So this is episode 17. I've recorded 16 already. It's ready to go in the hopper. Anyway, it's a long story. Part of it has to do with the fact that I'm building a studio in my house, and I say studio. My son says it's basically a utility closet with a makeshift table, and he would be somewhat correct, but I digress. So I haven't had as much time to spend on doing the podcast as I normally would, because I've been spending more time doing things to prepare for the studio. So that's just, I don't know, that's just how I work. I guess my mind is kind of a funny thing, but I still try to make it a point to do these podcasts to stay on top of it. Now I'm rambling, so we're going to move on. So in exactly a week from today, 7 days from this very moment, I will be sitting in the seats, the golden ticket seats, of the Rick and Bubba Show, live in the Summit Plaza in Birmingham. I don't know if that's really what it's called or not, but that's where we're going. So I'm super excited, stoked beyond belief. Cannot believe that I actually got a pair of tickets to go watch Rick and Bubba live. Now, there is only one problem. It's going to be Rick minus Bubba. And it sucks. I blame my wife for this because she made a comment about it one day. She's like, watch, one of them won't be there one day for whatever reason. I'm like, well, thanks for speaking it into existence. I appreciate you. However, here's the deal. Bill Bubba Bussy, who sits in the number 2 seat at the Rick and Bubba Show, has had some medical issues recently, and he had gallbladder surgery, which, kind of led to some other things, and there's a spot on the liver that they would like to do a procedure and remove and kind of get that off the plate. And of course, hey, I support it 100%. I understand he's going to be in the hospital recovering. I'm sure he'd much rather be at work, shaking hands and kissing babies with those who love the show. But he won't be there, and that's okay. So I've considered sending in an application to see if I can be his substitute, but I certainly have a face for radio, but I don't have the experience to go live on the show. So I will sit there and add that to my list of broadcasting dreams. Just check that off my bucket list. I always wanted to do that, by the way. So that kind of leads into the next thing. So September 23rd is a big deal for a lot of reasons for me personally. But September 23rd is the day that I had my heart attack last year. And it's been difficult, to say the least. I'm learning new limitations. I have a completely different outlook on life. I've had to learn to take care of myself first and, help others when I can. But it's been a really strange kind of dilemma this year because everything that I'm doing that I feel like I need to be doing, I have to really think about it. I have to kind of, okay, well, if I do this today, then, I got to take care of this. And these are the things I need to accomplish. So it's not like it used to be where I can just say, run roughshod over my schedule. I got all these things to do. Let's add a bunch of crap to it. No. I had an incident recently, kind of foreshadow what I'm talking about, and here goes. So during the week, Christopher has a lot of things going on right now, and he's freshman year in high school, and he's part of the band program, and they've got a lot of responsibilities, and that's all well and good. But during the week is kind of a wonky thing, and Tuesday we had to go to an exhibition of sorts, and which was fine. But he was staying after school, and they were going to get bused there, and then we had to be there to watch, and this, that, and the other. I'm like, cool. Well, of course, that's one of the mornings I got up with, Jasper at some ungodly 4 o'clock hour in the morning, and I was tired. I mean, admittedly. So I had my day scheduled. I'm like, oh, I can knock this out, no big deal. Then my wife called and said, hey, we got to meet somebody for, to pick something up in Tallahassee at this time. And I'm like, okay. So I did. And I was irritated because it changed my schedule, but I wasn't irritated because it changed my schedule. I knew it was going to throw off my window of whatever you want to call it. And it did. I wasn't able to stay for the entire thing like I wanted to, but I was able to stay and watch them perform, which I was so grateful for. And then I was able to kind of come home and get something to eat and kind of rejuvenate and then go pick Christopher up from the high school later on. So that's the new limitation thing that I'm talking about. And it does frustrate me that I can't just go, because I used to just go. And I'm having to slow down. But when I was out walking one night, trying to do a little bit better, as they say, I was listening to Rick and Bubba on the podcast, and they were, talking about the golden ticket seats. And I'd been checking throughout the day, and they just weren't open. For whatever reason, they opened up, and away it goes. So I was able to get those seats, and I had 4 dates to choose from, and I picked the 23rd. I could have gotten any day I wanted, but I picked the 23rd because of what it was, because it was my 1-year anniversary of surviving a heart attack. So who knew a year ago where I would be this year? And certainly not at the Rick and Bubba show and the golden ticket seats. And I'm so excited. I cannot even believe that I had the opportunity to do that. But I'm dragging my wife, and she better behave. If she don't behave, I'm going to have to act up in front of Rick. Just saying. One thing we won't be getting into is what the Bible says regarding, wives shall submit to their husbands, because that's a losing argument for all parties involved, but I digress. So super excited, man. I can't wait. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. I feel like I'm going to learn some things. I'm going to try my very best to, get some pictures and video and stuff like that, and stay out of the way. That's the big one. Let them kind of do their thing and go from there. And I'm really excited about meeting Greg. Greg Burgess is he's quite the character, but I feel like, what you see is kind of what you get. They polished him up for radio a little bit, but, he's kind of in the boat that I'm in. He had a career doing something else completely different. He worked for the power company for years, and then he just transitioned into radio. And now he's on every time. He actually kicks it off at 5 a.m. with, Speedy and Helmsy and the Good Time Gang, if you will. So there's all these really, I listen to this stuff all the time, and, I dig it. It's certainly a part of my world. So it'll be interesting to step into their world and kind of see behind the scenes. Now, I have been disappointed in the past. I've peeked behind the curtain and got my hand slapped because of reality. But yeah, I don't think it'll be that way. At least I hope not. But I'm super excited to go check this out and kind of go into a real studio and see how everything's done. And I kind of watched the move from the old studio to the new, and this new studio they've been in about a little over 9 months. So it's certainly different. I mean, it has its quirks, and you kind of hear the day-to-day operations of things, and things didn't really go as planned, and it's kind of interesting. So even on a nationally syndicated show on platforms that is heard internationally, they still have the same issues that everyone else has, it seems like. So, but yeah, next week is the big day. I've been looking forward to it. Super excited. Can't wait to get there. It'll be an early morning because we have to show up about 7:45, and they'll let us in, and we'll do what we got to do. So I'm really excited about it. So that'll be next week. And then we get to come home, and I think we have homecoming that week or that night. So my wife will be working concessions. I'll be in the stands doing what I do, and I'll be knocking it out, man. I got a busy Friday coming up. Golly. And we got all kinds of fun things coming down the pike. But really hope that I have an opportunity to get into the spirit of, like I said, grabbing some photos and some video and talking to the guys and learning a little bit more, because I know today's broadcasting world is not what it was 20 years ago. You don't have to jump through the hoops and all that good stuff, but at the same time, there's a lot of platforms, and it's easy to get diluted, and hopefully I learned some things that will help me with this show. So, again, I'm excited about it. I think we've got a lot of a lot of cool things going on with that. So 1 year that's the biggest milestone to me, is that 1 year. I wanted to get to a year, and I'm almost there. So as it gets closer, I'm a little nervous, but I am cautiously optimistic. And once that deadline hits, once my year hits, man, my book deadline's gonna creep up on me. I want to try to get the book out by January. That's the idea. But basically, it's Chris Black, the second act, and that is my first year recovering after a heart attack. And it'll chronicle a lot of things that I've been through. So keep an eye out for that. Stay tuned for the next segment as we wrap things up. Well, you know what that means. Whenever you hear the sound, it's time for us to wrap it up and get going our separate ways for this week. And for that, I apologize. But you know what the good news is? I get to go out and have some new stuff happen and come out and share some more stories with you. Now, they may not be timely. They may not be stuff that just happened the other day. Maybe they will. Who knows? But hey, I got to protect some of the innocent folks around here because people do stupid stuff all the time. But I digress. Again, I always enjoy spending time with you. You're the best part of my week. And Lord willing, I'll be back next week with some awesome stories, and we're going to go forward from there. So, again, thanks for your support with Chris Black, the podcast, and hey, we're going to keep this train rolling down the track. So, until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.